Hello, this is Chris with Phoenix Gaming, and I just wanted to do a quick video kind of talking about the Adepticon reveal so far, doing a quick recap on the news relevant to 40k. So without further ado, let's dig in. As usual, make sure you're subscribing. Again, generally speaking, everybody who watches my videos is a subscriber. I appreciate that. You guys are awesome. Let's share these videos. Let's grow the community. There is a giveaway. There's going to be a link in the description and should have a card on it. I may not get to the card right away because I've got a stream game to prep for as well. But again, I just want to make sure we got this up and got it up quickly. And big shout out to militarygamingcommand.org. If you're curious about what they do, make sure you check that out. Thanks again. We're going to talk about the new Terminators, the Lion, the new Termigants. Sorry for the typo on there. And then there's a bit of a rule shakeup that I'm actually kind of excited for. New Terminators. Hey, guess what? It's a Terminator. I don't know what you really expected out of it, other than it's scaled up to be more in line with what everything else is. Interestingly, they only really show base loadouts on the Terminators. I'm not allowed to speculate on anything because of my NDA that I have with Games Workshop, so I'm not going to speculate. Just want to point out that it is only base loadouts. I don't know what that means. It was just interesting to see. Once again, cool. Glad Marines are getting more love. Really don't have a lot of preference for Marines, so it doesn't really mean a lot to me. The Lion, this is a super cool model. I actually do enjoy seeing this a lot. I don't care about the Lion as a Primarch. I'm not a big lore guy, as I've stressed before. I do read some of the books. Generally, don't read anything that centers around Space Marines because they're kind of poopy, in my opinion. But I get it. A lot of people like them. A lot of people enjoy them. He is a great model. He's got a lot of cool chaos conversion potential. If you wanted to make like some sort of demon prince out of him or something, it'd be really cool. And I also won't have to listen to our local Dark Angels players talk about, oh man, when the Lion comes back, oh, the Lion's coming back. I can't wait for the Lion to come back. He's back, so we can all just move on from that. New Termigants. And this is kind of similar to the new boys models. Like it's just a good glow up. Initially, I was a little apprehensive about the new boys models. They're exceptional. I don't like that they're mono pose. Hopefully, well, like with the Termigants, it's less important that they're mono pose because as long as their rules stay the same, they're generally just going to have the same loadouts, if that makes sense. Whereas with boys, you have a lot more options on like the sergeant. They don't have sergeants, but it is cool. There's better scaling. They're not leaning off the base. Everything just fits nicer, looks neater, it looks cleaner. It's a cool model. I dig it, and I'm real happy for Tyler, our local Terminators player, because he loves Termagants, and having some new models to put on the table is going to be good for him. I do apologize for the cutoff going on. Also, I guess I didn't have this scaled properly. Again, would normally fix it, but I need to get this done quickly. Rule shakeup. We're going to take a look at the data sheet. So if you look, strength is no longer at the top. It's toughness. And, strength is strictly on the attack profile. So if you look at the flesh borer, it's range 18, attacks 1. So it's not assault 2 anymore. It's assault and then it tells you how many dice to roll. So same concept, just a little bit different layout, a little bit easier for new players to understand. And I think that was the intent behind some of this. Isn't to change the game drastically, but to make it easier for players to reference and understand. Ballistic skill 4. So that's another thing that's interesting is that each attack is going to have its own ballistic skill, which is I kind of like that actually because it opens the door for different interactions. You don't have to modify dice as much. You can just be like, well, this gun hits on 5s, but this gun hits on 4s. So I do like that. It is strength 5, as you can see on the datasheet, 0 AP. And then off to the side, you see its abilities, faction synapse, lurking behavior, and then lesser organisms, right? So it tells you what its datasheet abilities are right there. Melee weapon, so we don't have the generic melee weapon anymore. We're kind of going the route of Age of Sigmar, where everything just has a melee weapon. So like Termagant, claws and teeth. And again, I don't think this was done to change the game. I think this was done to just, again, make it easier for new players. New players don't have to worry about knowing the rule that if you don't have a melee weapon, you still get to make melee attacks, because it looks like every data sheet will just explain what the melee attacks are, and you just move on with your life. So again, I think that's a very positive change. And then if you look, toughness still exists, which I'm excited for, because that was one of the rumors, is that toughness is going away. So toughness still exists. So I think we're still going to have wound rolls. And, we may see more of the like sixes auto wound mechanics. I don't know. Excuse me. But it is there. And then OBSEC is gone, but it's replaced by a new datasheet stat called OC, which is just objective control. And my assumption is that's how many points or models each model counts for when controlling an objective. And I like this. I think this is much better than OBSEC, because OBSEC is kind of a weird ability, because it's just a switch. It's, do you have OBSEC? If yes, you control. If your opponent has OBSEC, it's total number. Like, it was needlessly complicated, and this is just a much better way of doing it. So like, Termigants, each Termigant counts as two Termigants for controlling an objective, and then if a 10-man unit of Termigants is on an objective, they're going to control it over a 10-man unit of something that has OC1, right? So again, I think this is a good change, real positive. What's not on this data sheet though, but on another one that I've seen floating around, it has the pistol weapon, Spine Fists, right? And what was interesting about the Spine Fists is that they have both the pistol and the assault, and then they have the twin linked keyword. And twin linked was an old universal rule, so that kind of makes me think universal special rules are coming back, which again I think is very good. Free rules at launch. I don't know how codexes are going to be handled, but we know that the index is going to be free. You can download it, and I really appreciate this. After, the dick move of selling the compendium for Kill Team and all the other things that they try to charge for, I feel like this is a much better approach. If you're going to completely shake up the game, don't charge me for a book that's going to become outdated quickly. A real positive move for building community trust. I like it. Army construction, so there's no more force organization chart. You just have a warlord and you take whatever you want. There's still a rule of 3, but anything with a battle line keyword or tag gets a rule of 6. And I assume that's troops. I don't know. I can't speculate much more than this, because I don't know. And again, I'm not allowed to. No force org chart. I'm mixed on this. I don't like it because it's a war game. I like armies that interact like armies, but at the same time, it's not bad. That's effectively where we're at with Arcs of Omen anyway. So it makes sense that we just kind of continue this trend. We'll see. Less strats, and then consolidating rules to the datasheet. Like I said, strats are going to be reduced drastically. Word on the street, and this is as per the reveal. I just didn't have a screenshot to throw on here. You're going to about 6 per army, and then a lot of stuff is just going back to datasheets. Thank you. Again, really positive move. As an orc player, I have seen so many of my datasheet rules stripped away to become stratagems in 8th and then again in 9th, and I'm really excited to hopefully see a lot of those go back to the datasheet, because that creates some feel bads for players, right? Like losing your core rules, and again, Marine players don't really know about this, but losing your core rules and then having them turned into stratagems is kind of a feel bad, right? Like, why would you do this to me? There are some phase and core mechanics changes. The psychic phase is gone. Supposedly, spells are going to tell you when they can be used. And again, I'm not going to dive too deep into assumptions, but the assumption for me is that like buffing spells will be command phase, and then damage dealing spells might be shooting phase, for example. But again, I'm not going to go much more in detail in that on some speculation. No more losing models to morale. So they're going to either run or have some sort of adverse effect on them, which this is awesome. Thank you. The morale phase is one of the shittiest interactions in this game, and again, it can create feel bads. Like, it can be a real rough interaction for some armies, and then if you just have an army that interacts in the leadership phase, like a Night Lords or some of the Drukhari builds. Uh, they only work against certain armies. So again, it's just kind of weird. Like it's just a weird balancing act to have to maintain, and now we don't even have to worry about it. And then toughness is increased overall. This doesn't mean everything gets a toughness increase. It just means that certain things, probably vehicles. Like I know the Baneblade was teased at like a T11, and then strength and AP are going down, and that makes the game less killy unless we see an uptick of mortal wounds, which I don't know. I hope that's not the route this is going. I hate mortal wounds as a mechanic. It's a decidedly single player interaction in a multiplayer game, and if I wanted them, again, I would just play Sigmar. I don't because I don't like them. So hopefully it just makes the game a little bit less killy and we don't compensate and expedite the game by just drowning people in mortal wounds. We'll see. General takeaways, everything I see is really positive. Retaining toughness is good. Rules are back to data sheets is good. Potential for a return of universal special rules is awesome. Again, there's too many interactions currently where 5 different armies have the same rule, but they're worded differently, and it just creates confusion. Going back to just like a feel no pain and twin linked and stuff like that would be really good for the game for just making it easier for all players to understand. And again, kudos to that. If that's the route it's going, that's the route it looks like it's going. No force org chart. That's a personal preference. Again, I'm playing a war game. I want my army to be an army. I understand not all players are in that same mindset, and that's fine. It's just a personal preference. As a former infantryman, I like my infantry, and like I said, it's just a personal preference. OC in place of OBSEC is really good if implemented well, and I think it will be implemented well. And morale changes look amazing. So overall, everything about 10th that was teased at Adepticon looks really good. I just wanted to give a quick 10 to 15-minute recap so you didn't have to sit through the 2 hours of videos that were floating around out there. As always, shout outs to my immortals, Captain Too Tall, the real Donnie G, Lord Wellingstone. You guys are awesome. Again, appreciate it. I got Tables of Terrain coming out soon, and that is in large part to you. Thank you. And then thanks for watching. Links are in the description. Again, sorry for it being cut off. Just wanted to make sure we got this up. You guys have a wonderful day.